Many people have heard of UFOs. So what then is a USO? Simply speaking, a USO is an unknown underwater object, active in our oceans. They often appear in seas where boats and planes disappear, like the Bermuda Triangle, for instance. Among these unknown underwater objects, the most common is the so-called submarine or ghost submarine. The United States and the Soviet Union once spent a large amount of money and military might searching for them. Yet after several decades had passed, neither country produced any meaningful results. Appearance of ghost. USOs were first discovered by people in the early 19th century. British cargo ship Sea Spirit, sailing to several nearby coastal areas of India, suddenly encountered a craft that did not resemble any known sea vessel. According to sailors, that craft was giant in form, emitted dazzling lights, and silently floated around the sea in front of the Sea Spirit. When the Sea Spirit approached the peculiar-looking object, it strangely rose up above the surface. The huge object then lightly floated down onto the sea surface, not sinking even a bit, and then noiselessly disappeared under the water. The sailors of Sea Spirit witnessed this with their own eyes, and many years later, they still remembered it vividly. In the 1870s, another ship also saw a similar unknown craft. At that time, the Dutch ship Zeemeeuw was sailing in the Pacific Ocean. Suddenly, two unknown flying objects appeared in the sky. One emitted dazzling bright light, the other did not emit light. After following the Zeemeeuw for quite some time, the glowing craft made a loud, violent noise, accompanied by intense flashing light, then fell onto the sea surface and disappeared without a trace. Shortly after, the other one also suddenly disappeared. The sailors witnessed clearly the appearance and disappearance of these two unknown flying objects. But when they returned to report the incident, no one believed them. Throughout the whole 19th century, there were many such reports. The unknown underwater objects described in such reports, no matter their appearance or their coming and going, were all astonishingly strange. At that time, humanity's science and technology were still undeveloped, and airplanes and submarines had not yet appeared in the world. Thus, these unknown flying objects clearly were not the work of humans. Ghost submarines in World War II. For quite a long period, there were very few reports of unknown underwater objects. But during the Second World War, they began to frequently appear on the battlefield. Different from the 19th century, this time, the unknown underwater objects appeared to be very similar to submarines made by humans. In June 1942, at Midway in the Pacific, the Japanese combined fleet and the US aircraft carrier Hornet were battling fiercely in the Pacific Ocean when a mysterious submarine suddenly appeared on the battlefield. This mysterious submarine only observed and did not participate on either side. When the navies of both sides mistook it for an enemy submarine and launched an attack, it suddenly disappeared from sight. Afterwards, as both sides at the Battle of Midway fought intensely, this mysterious submarine again appeared. Moreover, when the Hornet fired shells, it seemed to intercept them, saving many US warships. Strangely, during the whole battle, none of the soldiers saw a single sailor on that so-called submarine. Only a faint voice instructing them. After the end of the Second World War, the US Intelligence Department established an expert group to investigate this matter, but there were no results. All countries possessing submarines denied that the mysterious submarine appearing on the battlefield was their own. According to captured Japanese soldiers' accounts, the technology used by that submarine was far beyond the technology level of human beings at that time. After the war, many countries saw the role of submarines in naval battles as vitally important and invested a huge amount of manpower, material resources, and financial power into vigorously developing subs and their weapons. Among them, the US and the Soviet Union far surpassed other nations in terms of large-scale construction and technological level, and became the strongest. But the US and the Soviet Union both knew that no matter how advanced their submarines were, there was still a world of difference compared to the Ghost submarine. In order to be able to seize and possess the advanced technology of Ghost submarines, the US and the Soviet Union launched a search expedition for these otherworldly vessels. The US Navy formulated a search plan, mobilizing almost all its fleets and aircraft in the South Pacific region. The Soviet Navy, not wanting to fall behind technologically, mobilized a large number of ships and aircraft in the North Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. The entire search operation lasted for more than 1 year, but the result was that nothing was found. Moreover, during this process, both countries paid a tremendous price, losing 2 US ships and 3 Soviet submarines. The US and Soviet Union never abandoned their search for Ghost submarines. In 1990, NATO, during a military exercise in the North Atlantic, suddenly a Ghost submarine appeared. Participating warships immediately stopped the exercise and went into pursuit mode. These warships headed toward the Ghost submarine, firing large numbers of torpedoes and depth bombs, but surprisingly, all bombs failed to damage the Ghost submarine. Moreover, all the radar, sonar, and all electronic equipment on those warships simultaneously lost effectiveness until the Ghost submarine disappeared. Only then did they gradually return to normal. Mysterious visitors from the seabed. The St. Thomas and other Bahamas Straits are very mysterious places. Here, the sea is extremely deep and is said to exceed the height of the Pearl Ridge of the Himalayas. From long ago, it has been stated that unknown flying objects come out from the seabed at this location. UFO researchers from California come to this strait every year, staying for a period of time, hoping to be able to see these objects rising from the sea surface. One day in 1992, while observing the sea, Peter Danforth suddenly saw hundreds of unknown flying objects shoot out of the sea and then float toward the distant sky. Danforth almost could not believe his own eyes, but could not deny what he had just witnessed. On June 14th of the same year, at the local beach, someone else saw hundreds of round-shaped flying bodies rush out from the sea surface, soaring into the clouds. Witnesses reported this event to the local police. The police notified the US Coast Guard to send patrol ships, but in the end there were no results. The town of Shag Harbour in Nova Scotia, Canada, is a very small town with only a few hundred residents. This town, originally unknown to the wider world, became famous because of a USO incident on October 4, 1967. On that night, many residents saw 4 orange lights rotating in the sky. These lights flashed rhythmically, sometimes giving off a strange noise. Unexpectedly, they suddenly dove into the sea, floated for a period on the sea surface, then disappeared without a trace. At the time, residents thought it was a plane accident, and they immediately reported to Canadian officials. Officials inquired with the military, but the military denied any plane accident or training in the area, and no incident reports have been filed. Officials organised police and naval personnel to search the sea, but in the end found nothing. In order to clarify the truth, officials interviewed eyewitnesses. Many said that a luminous object fell on the sea surface not far from them, They clearly confirmed the object's diameter of at least 20 meters, height about 3 meters, and shape very much like a disc. According to the information gathered, officials believed it was not a plane but was an unknown flying object. Afterwards, people saw that object rush out from the sea and fly into the sky. Photographs captured the whole process. Astonishing propulsion technology. Many witnesses described that USOs all have extremely fast speed. One must know, navigating in water and flying in the air are completely different. Water resistance is far greater than air resistance, so how do these USOs overcome such great resistance? Some scientists believe that USOs may use electromagnetic force to allow these crafts to navigate at extremely fast speeds underwater. An electric field formed around the ship's body would certainly greatly reduce water resistance. The United States once experimented with such an electromagnetic submarine. In 1904, while a cargo ship was sailing on the sea surface, a disc-shaped flying craft suddenly appeared above the cargo ship, emitting a mysterious light fog. The light fog surrounded the cargo ship. The ship suddenly stopped moving. The entire cargo ship seemed magnetized. The sailors tried to leave this fog, but no matter how they tried, they could not succeed. When this flying craft flew away, the light fog disappeared, and the cargo ship returned to normal. In 1969, during wartime, a US warship was patrolling the Antarctic Ocean near the South Pole. Suddenly, sailors saw a huge submarine emerge from an ice layer thousands of meters thick under the South Pole, straight up into the sky. The US sailors believed it was a Soviet-made monster and immediately ordered all sailors into combat readiness. At that moment, the sailors suddenly discovered that all electronic equipment on the ship had stopped completely. Like the previous case, the warship lost power until the craft disappeared into the air. According to descriptions of ships passing by USOs, they all appear to be accompanied by strong electromagnetic fields. This is indeed why they are able to travel both underwater and in the air. Aircraft carrier within USO. The appearance of aircraft carriers greatly changed the shape of human warfare. They can bombard and attack enemy fleets from the sea's surface and also allow the takeoff and landing of aircraft, making the traditional flat sea battle change into three-dimensional sea-air integrated combat. Strangely enough, in reports of USO incidents, many people also claim to have seen aircraft carriers inside USOs. In 1960, the Argentine Navy was conducting exercises 1,000 kilometers south of Buenos Aires when suddenly, not far out at sea, a never-before-seen object appeared. This object was huge in form. Witnesses described it as long and oval, with a black exterior and hidden windows on both sides. At first, it was thought that this was a Soviet Navy submarine surfacing to spy on their exercises, but later the object suddenly split and divided into several small objects. These small objects separated, rushed into the sky, and disappeared without a trace. Participants and observers of this exercise of the Argentine Navy wrote a report and handed it to the Soviet Navy. The Soviet Navy took this matter very seriously, asking the Argentinian Navy to confirm this was definitely not an American craft. But later investigation results showed that it could not be American craft either. Some believed the several small objects flying out of the craft could have been torpedoes fired from the submarine. This view was also denied because at that time submarines of all countries had not yet been able to fire 6 torpedoes at once. Today, many people simply don't believe these objects exist and put the sightings down to mistaken identity. Others are sure the USOs are created by aliens from outer space. But what if they are actually masterpieces designed by intelligent life living in the deep sea? 80% of our oceans are unmapped and unexplored. Studies of sea floor and deep ocean data repeatedly show anomalous phenomena. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is the world's largest underwater mountain range. During a dive on July 23, 2022, a submersible discovered repeating tracks of holes on the sea floor, surrounded by small sediment mounds. Similar holes were found in 2004. The tracks appear to be made by an intelligent species, one we have yet to discover. In the last few years, 40 new species have been found in the deep sea. Perhaps the most sensational one is still hiding down there, burrowing through the sea floor so as to remain hidden from sight. Spanish researcher Jose Rivera suggested the USOs belong to an intelligent race, but not one from space, one from our very own world. Could he be correct? Could a breakaway civilization exist down there, hidden in the depths of our seas?